the table for the winner.
There is a lot of talk about Daniel fighting Usyk, and you fought him already. And in that fight, you went down off a jab. The fight ended on a jab. What was going through your mind at that time?
I'll tell you something.
And if you're in the same position with Joe, how are you gonna face that?
I hear what you say.
No, that was a completely different situation, you know.
And I think, you know, and it's a valid point trying to get under your skin. So it's a valid point. I get that and understand. But you know what? Look at the form. You've got to look at the form at the moment.
Yeah, but when you're in those same positions,
You see what I did to the last three opponents.
When you're in the same position or under the same pressure, you will revert back to type. And let's look at the fights, okay?
Maybe you would revert back to type. I've seen it in your career. I've seen you fight. You probably would, but not me.
Knockout artist.
Not me, mate.
All the doubts that people had about Daniel, he's proved them wrong. He's wiped them clean. And we're going in with the best fighter, I would say the informed fighter in the world. So when Joe wins, we take all the credit.
Andy, we always forget about Joseph Shea because it was just a one fight, but that one fight was Yili Shang. Close fight, but he won that fight. What kind of year did Joseph have?
He had a fantastic year in terms of the win with Zhang, but it was more of a continuation from the work of 2023.
And those are the words of Andy Lee, the trainer of Joseph Parker, asking Daniel Dubois what happened to you when you were stopped with a jab, calling out a guy again for a rematch. What was going through your head at the time? And let me counterpunch. That was an awkward silence. You know, you have comfortable, then uncomfortable, then awkward, you know, and I would have to rate it uncomfortable or awkward. One or the other, because I mean, either way, it was almost, he looked at Frank and Frank had to answer for him because he doesn't have an answer for what happened to him against Usyk. You see what I mean? That wasn't that long ago, people. That was in 2023. Okay, we just hit 25. We're in January. Okay, so the year before last, in 23, okay, Daniel Dubois was taking a knee. Bars. But listen, honestly, I do think that Daniel has to show people again and again and again that he is a different specimen of a man now. Okay, he can't, you know, here's the thing. You keep convincing people that you're back, and then once you convince the people that you're back, sometimes that gives you less steam or less momentum because you've convinced everyone mentally that you are a different person. But the truth of the matter is you have to prove it each and every time. You can't sit there and say, you know what, you know, I'm a different person and then stop proving it. And what Andy was saying is, well, the dude stopped you. So what do? You know, you may revert back to, you know, how you did before. And you look at the last three opponents. Let's break them down. Jarrell Miller was fat as hell. Okay. He ran out of gas around the 6th round, maybe 7th, maybe about the 5th or 6th. Okay. Then you had Philip Hrgovic. We found out Philip Hrgovic was one-dimensional. Okay. And I like Philip. I like how he talks smack. I like how he self-promotes himself, but we learned that he is limited. Let's put it that way. Not one-dimensional, but limited. Okay. He was a limited fighter. And we really learned that in the, is it McKay? The Australian fighter, right? That Moses Otoma just knocked out. I can't remember his name right now. But we found that out that night. Like, okay, Philip can't do much. So, you know, Daniel proved more in that fight than any other fight that he can take shots. And he took a lot of right hands, to be fair. But the Joshua fight, there was nothing coming back at Daniel. Daniel was doing all the work, except for the couple of right hands in the 5th round and the uppercut in the 4th. Other than that, that was totally a showcase performance by Daniel Dubois. So we didn't really learn what it's like for him to get pushed, you know, except for the Philip Hrgovic fight. And Philip never showed him anything else. He just showed him a jab, right hand, jab, right hand, jab, right hand. And, you know, if you think about that, you know, who did he spar that has a jab, right hand, jab, jab, right hand? Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Needless to say, that's what made Philip Hrgovic semi-famous as a kid because he was sparring a 26-year-old Deontay Wilder. Okay, but other than that, you know, he didn't really do much as far as beating people except Zhang, and we all know Zhang has a limited gas tank. You know, he is like a tank. He has a limited tank. For him to go a mile, it's so many miles. You know, he gets probably 12 miles a gallon, and he only has about 6 gallons, right? So, but other than that, you know, the Joshua fight, yeah. But I mean, he didn't really show anybody anything because he wasn't pressed to that degree. Okay, so that's the difference, and that's what Andy was asking. And I don't really think he was trying to get up under the skin. I just, you know, I think he was questioning Daniel Dubois' mentality still. You know, what was going through your mind? Like, he didn't say, like, what's up with that? No, what was going through your mind when you got knocked out by a jab? What were your mind? Where was your mind at? And a lot of people will really want to still know that, like, what was going on with you? He's mentioned things about dark places and stuff like that. But at the same time, what was happening? And he couldn't answer the question. That was the whole problem. He just looked at Frank. He was like, Frank, help! You know, Frank, well, you see, Daniel's a different fighter now. But anyway, yeah. So I think that really bothered him. And I think, you know, Frank then spent it like they're trying to get you upset. But I think Andy was just asking him like, yo, what was going through your mind? You know? And on top of that, I think that Frank and Daniel, he's training Daniel to be more self-promotable, you know, to be on point, to be on cue more, you know, to do certain things. He was the one, like he said, he was the one that brought him in that ring. We'll talk about that live tomorrow when I go live. But nonetheless, you know, Andy pretty much charged up Daniel Dubois. So it's like this. Will you back up or will you step up? So, I mean, it depends on who gives him the most resistance. Now, the problem or the answer is, or the question would be, what can Joseph Parker do? Can he emulate a pressuring performance like Usyk did? But you guys tell me what you think of Andy Lee questioning Danny Dubois' mentality still to this day. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch.